Welcome to episode 40, and today I am joined by Gemma Skeath. Gemma, you're very welcome onto the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a bit of a cat and mouse job getting you landed. It's like playing a fish. So it was like a fisherman trying different lures here and there over the last number of weeks, but finally got you.
I'm finally online. Yeah.
Gemma, thank you very much for coming on to the podcast. And I know you're a wee bit nervous about coming on, but rest assured, I'll treat you well. Don't be worrying about anything.
Excellent.
I suppose the best place to start, and I normally start by looking at people's journeys, but I'm very, very excited just to go straight in for the jugular with you, because I'm doing Lanzarote, as you know.
Yeah.
And last year you did Lanzarote, so I kind of want to just let's start off with your reflections on Lanzarote, which was your first Ironman event last year.
Mm-hmm. So Lanzarote was actually a birthday present to myself. So at the end of 23, I thought I kind of want to do an Ironman. I wouldn't be built for speed, as you know. I'm kind of like an endurance sort of person. So I just decided that I wanted to do an Ironman, and I do like the sun. And I had went to Lanzarote training camp in 23 and thought, okay, and everyone chatted about how hard Lanzarote was. And to be honest with you, Mickey, I'm never about times. I race myself, and that's the only person I will race. And I thought, yes, Lanzarote is the Ironman I want to do, because everyone's chatting about how hard it is, and the wind and the sun and the hills. And I thought, yeah, I'll give it a go. So I had my exams actually, and I had trained up from a sort of November time. Darren Lagan was doing my training plans for me, and we actually thought I wasn't actually going to make it to Lanzarote between sicknesses and injuries. There was a lot of injuries, and that was just pure self neglect. Like I had went back to back one weekend and did like crazy cycling, and ended up getting like tendinitis in my forearms and just crazy stuff that you would never think that you could possibly get. Yeah. But I ended up getting it, and I remember Darren ringing me and was like, are you actually going to get to Lanzarote? But got to Lanzarote. Actually, my exams was on the Monday for my masters, and literally flew that Tuesday. I'll never forget it, because did my exams, went home, lifted my bike box, and was still packing my bike box when Connor and Etta rang me and was like, Gemma, we're on the way to airport. Where are you? And I'm like, oh, I'm just packing my bike here. Can you put those CO2 canisters in? And he was like, you're what? And I'm one of the most, when it comes to like life, I am very horizontal. I guess it just comes with my work territory. That when it comes to anything else, I'm just horizontal. So I was on the way, Connor and all was on the way to the airport. I was still packing my bike. So finally got to Lanzarote, and Shane, and met up with Shane McGill and Eddie Malloy and Connor. And I remember us going out for a cycle, and I think it was a cycle two days before, and I hadn't even, there's part on the track, Connor was so good to me. Like, he was just like, oh, my dad, and just showed me everything. He's just a really good man to learn from, and he had did it so many times. And he took me and Eddie out on the donkey track, as it's known, and Mickey, wasn't even, I'll just remember this, I wasn't even cycling the bike at this point. We had stopped to look around, and I had clicked in before we had started on the donkey track, and I couldn't get going, and I just fell off the bike and cut my knees, and all these guys, all these pros, and like were coming down, and they all stopped, and I was absolutely mortified. Here's someone about to do an Ironman and couldn't even like cycle her bike, like, and all these guys stopping, coming down this donkey track at massive speeds, and Eddie and Connor, and I was just purely mortified. But yeah, got there in the end, and so got to the start line. I'll never forget it, because so nervous, because I wasn't sure whether I was going to be fit for Lanzarote. There was a lot. I think a lot of people in the club thought I wasn't going to get there either. And I remember Darren ringing me the night before, and I'm always the type of person, I'm always happy racing. That's my happy place in life, and that's my go-to when things are tough in life. I exercise or race. And I remember Darren saying to me the night before, Gemma, how's it going? And I was like, oh, I feel a wee bit of pressure here. Everyone in the club is looking at me. And Darren just said to me on the phone, and I'll never forget it, and I actually have it up as one of my training peaks. I said to Darren, I feel pressure for once in my life. I feel pressure when it comes to exercise. And he's like, Gemma, pressure's for tires. And that will stick in my head to this day. And I started laughing, and I took it, and I'll never forget. So that morning I met who is my coach now, Paddy McLaughlin, and we all were going down to the start line, and I had my headphones on, and I literally was just singing, and I was so happy that I had made it to the start line. There's such a buzz, Mickey. Like, Lanzarote's just amazing. There's such a buzz. And I just was pumping my tires that morning, and I remember Connor shouting over to me, and he's like, pressure's for tires, remember that? And here's me pumping my tires, and I was like, yeah. And so then we're Lanzarote, start the swim, and I was going to pace it. The swim is just a swim tick, so I stayed away back. And I remember Mummy and my sister on the side cheering me. They're my number one fans, and the music came on, and I was like, right. And then I was like, turned around to Paddy, and I was like, I'm very nervous. And he's like, you don't need to be nervous, Gemma. And I was like, but I'm nervous, like, and I don't get nerves before a race. And he's like, right, we're going to go on a wee swim. And I was like, right, are we? And he started laughing. And then he's like, and if we make that swim out, okay, we're going to go on a wee bike. And I was like, right. And then he's like, if we make that wee bike, we're going to go on a wee run. And that stuck in my head the whole day. And Mickey, if you do Lanzarote, just put that in your head. Use it as like a training day, like as in, right, tick box, I've got 3 exercises, and that's what I did Lanzarote in. So I literally, there's actually a photo of me turning around. So Lanzarote is an Australian exit. So you actually get out of the water when you 1900 meters, and you go through, and then you go back into the water. And I actually, first of all, had forgot to start my watch. I was that nervous. And second of all, on the second lap in, I remember my sister and mum shouting at me, and I turned around, like, this is how much I wasn't racing it, turned around, had my goggles up and stuck my thumb up, and I think that's one they've got actually a photo of me, and that was me on the second lap of the swim. The swim was great. You couldn't ask for any better water. There's fish. I'll never forget it. There's like black and white zebra fish, and I managed to see that in the race, so that's how much I wasn't racing. It's deadly. Like, you'll absolutely love it. The water's perfect conditions, perfect heat. And then if you go, also there's a guy beforehand in Lanzarote, I don't know if Shane said this to you, and he'll take you through the whole swim. So he was there on the beach a couple of days beforehand, and he taught me where to swim hard between buoys, and where, the current brings you back. So I was able to go, okay, it's time to swim hard, because if you don't swim hard, you're going to be pushed all the way down. So he's definitely another person, and he actually shouted to me that day as well. You meet all these random people, it's amazing. So I got on the bike, and the bike, I just took it easy. I'm not one of these people in training. I know my heart rate and power because I have a turbo trainer, but when I'm out, I just go by feel. So I never once looked at my watch, my heart rate, and I remember. He's not going to like this, but I remember overtaking Shane on one of the hills, and he's like, "Hey, Cuddy, you need to slow down." And I was like, "I'm absolutely fine." Like I was singing along, bopping along. That was the whole experience I had of Lanzarote. Like, and then there was fellas that I met, and we ended up chatting. And I'm actually friends with them now on Strava, and I met them on different races. That's how much I wasn't racing Lanzarote, and it was just an amazing experience. And then the right few people passed me on the bike. As you know, the bike isn't one of my strong points, but I just loved it, and I loved the fast descents. And then I'll never forget Mickey coming in to that final descent. I started crying because I was like, if I have to crawl over that finish line, I'm going to be an Ironman. And I'll never forget it. Got off the bike and thought, right, okay, what can I do? And I pushed it. Now I enjoyed it. I remember Connor and Etta and Mummy and all these people were saying, "Oh, is she doing the relay? She seems very happy and she's squealing at everything." And they're like, "No, she's doing the full thing." And I was just so happy. Was happy obviously when I seen my ones, and obviously when you go out to the airport, you're in a different like zone. Like I was like zoned out there. But when I came back into all the people, I was like so happy, and the race went really well. And what a lot of people don't know is Lanzarote, though, when I finished the race, they kind of take you away into like this athlete camp, like a tent. And I had no phone or nothing with me that morning. So, and Shane was still out on the track on the course, and I was like, right, well, we need to go and support him. But I could not find my mum or my sister or Connor, and I was like desperately looking for them, but I couldn't find them, and that was probably the down part of it. So I ended up getting my bike, all my gear, and having to go back to the apartment myself up this really steep hill, about 25%, climbing everything myself. Got back to the apartment, and then the woman had to let me in, and she's and in her Spanish accent, she was like, "Oh, you can't believe that your that your family let you come home after doing an Ironman and carrying all that stuff." But then I finally rang. I got my phone. Then it was in the apartment. I rang Michelle, and then I went down. And obviously Eddie was down there, and Connor, and then we seen Shane. But the other thing of that story was I was so like excited about my first Ironman that on the final lap or coming into the thing, I couldn't see the bell, and that's one thing, like you make sure to ring the bell. And I stopped and asked this guy, I was like, "Where's the bell? Where's the bell?" And he was like, it's there, and I made sure to ring it. And that's what a lot of people text me saying, "We see that you stopped to ask the person where the bell was." And I was like, well, I can't do my first Ironman and not ring the bell. So it was an amazing race, and it's an amazing experience, and it was hot that day, but you're going to absolutely love it. You really are.
Well, I tell you what, I'm knackered. I'm knackered listening to you, but the vibe that you're sending out there, and just the energy of you, and just seeing you relive that, like with the smile on your face, absolutely infectious. You thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed that one, didn't you?
Yeah, Mickey, it just was one of those races that it's a race that nothing added up till to the start line. Everything was going wrong between injuries and sickness and one thing after another, and everyone was like, is she even going to get to the start line? And I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna. And then it was just one of those days that was just everything fell into play, and it was just amazing. And I think I was just so happy that I was fit to do it. Like, you know, and if your family's coming out and everything, it's really good. It's a really good atmosphere for a race. And you run along the promenade, and the later you run, obviously there's bars along there, and people are shouting your name because your name's on your badge or on your number. And it's just a really good atmosphere for a race, yeah.
I often hear little nuggets of inspiration and things similarly to the things that you have said, but I'm going to take one of your specs with me to Lanzarote, and that is, I love how you referenced it a couple of times. That's how much I wasn't racing
Yeah.
Lanzarote. So I'm going to take a look at the fish. I'm going to take a wee look over the side of the cliffs when I'm going up
Yeah.
them hills. I'm going to look around me and try not to race Lanzarote.
Just yeah, I just took it all in. Make sure to take it all in. And what was in my head was, I'm going to do this in 16:59:59, and never once did I ever say that I was going to do it in 13, 14 hours, which I did it in 13:40 something. But it was never about the time for me. It was just about, we do these things because we love it and we enjoy it and we are fit to do it. So yeah.
We all were tracking yourself and the rest of the guys from the club, on the app. And we were actually out on a cycle that day. We were just checking in on you, and then when we all got home, we were all chatting on the WhatsApp group, and we were all saying, everybody was talking about you. Everybody was saying, "Oh my God, this girl is smashing this marathon," because you actually banged out a friggin' solid marathon. What did you do the marathon in that day?
Hey, 4:02.
Unbelievable!
And
Like
I
you
was
just
really happy that I actually, I was, though that sort of morning, I was like, oh, in my head, I sort of was like, well, I'd like to do it in 4 hours, but, I'll give 4:02, okay.
absolutely unreal. But as people passed you on the bike, I assume that you passed quite a few of them on the run.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was actually nice because I kind of know my own strengths and my own weaknesses, and I knew that I was chatting to these ones and they were like, oh, nearly trying to encourage you to come on the bike, but I was like, and I was like, oh no, sure, you go on, not that you can like draft or anything, but and I knew that, let them go on. I'm only like, I want to keep my comfort level on the bike because I can't push massive power on the bike. I'll never be able to. And then I knew once I got off the bike that I'll be able to catch a few of them on the run, and that's what I did. I think a lot of people were shocked. A couple of the guys from Strabane that I'd met, they were like, "Gee, she's flying," and I was like, I was just so happy. Yeah.
I tell you what, if that run had been another 10K, you'd have caught Eddie Malloy.
I know, Eddie. I kept passing him, and like I kept high fiving him. I don't know if he enjoyed me high fiving him or not. He's probably like, oh, here she comes again, her. But yeah, I was like, come on, Eddie, and then yeah. So
Oh, it
you
was
you
deadly.
never know what'll happen. Like, but and everyone from the club, like the amount of phone calls that I got before Lanzarote from people in the club, and just all the texts of encouragement, and then all the texts after it. It was just amazing, and it's just lovely to actually relive that because I've never really chatted about it, and it's just nice. Yeah.
That's awesome. Absolutely, absolutely unreal. It's I normally build towards the epic event on my podcast, but out of selfishness, I wanted to jump straight in there. So we'll
You're
jump
going to
back in time.
absolutely love Lanzarote. You really are. You will.
Oh, I'm buzzing! I can't wait! I can't wait.
Yeah.
If I love it half as much as you, then I'll be in for a good time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tell me this, Gemma. Where did how did you get into triathlon? Because presumably there was life before triathlon. So what was Gemma Skeath up to back in the day before we all got to know you?
Back in the day, to be honest with you, I was at a high school and I was quite academic. And either if you didn't do football and you didn't do netball, you just didn't do sports. So I was not into sports at all when I was a teenager. Just usual walking and bits and pieces, but not like people that you talk to that have grown up around football and sports families and everything. Don't get me wrong, My family, my mum and dad, who are probably my main fan club, are they're very chilled and they are very much do what makes you happy. So probably when I was about 14, I took up a martial arts. I took up karate as because my brother was doing it, and I thought, oh, this is something that I would like. This is definitely me. And our karate teacher, Ray Coleman, it wasn't just traditional Wateroo karate. It was a mixture of stand-up, clinch, and ground, which was brilliant. Like, I loved it. Like semi-contact fighting, then your clinch game, and then you hit the ground. So basically Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and like I've trained with the likes of the Gracies and everything in my
So
years.
you'll
And
have to go back a wee bit because you're chatting away about all these things, and I haven't a clue. What's a clinch game and what's
so
all these
so
terms you're throwing out here?
yeah,
Because
so stand up is basically you're punching and you're kicking. Clinching is nearly like your judo, so how you would take someone, how you in that close contact, so you've bridged the gap between punching and you're actually in a clinch, nearly like a hug, and then and that's your clinch game and how you actually get to the ground. And then Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is your ground game, so how you would submit somebody, how would you like chokehold or armbar them on the ground, and that's sort of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, sort of like MMA fighting.
okay,
So I've done quite a few of that there. I was the first female, and I'm still the first female in our karate club to get a black dan, and I also got a second dan black belt.
brilliant.
Yeah. So and then so I did karate for years and taught karate and did Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but then unfortunately, work comes into play. So I had to go to England and I left all that behind me and just did sort of the likes of the gym. And I went to Oxford, so it's a massive cycling place. So I bought a steel bike and cycled around Oxford. And that was probably my first time really cycling. I've had hybrid bikes, but just playing about like mountain biking. Was never really into cycling. So cycled around Oxford, but in a big steel bike, and then came home and still was doing like sort of gym and weights and training of like sort of just loved it because it makes you feel good and it's good for what I do, my work, and it's a good outlet. And then I was at Loch Macrory one evening and seen these guys swimming. And I was like, well, I like swimming. Like I've always liked swimming. Growing up, like we would have went to the beach and I would have been a water baby. I would have never like swam with any swim clubs, but I would have taught myself how to swim, and Daddy would have taught me in the sea. So I would have swam in the sea growing up, and seen these people swimming in Loch Macrory, and it was like, oh, I'll give that a go. So I put on my surfing wetsuit and tried it, and I was like, okay. And then I remember speaking to Connor and Etta, and I met them one night or at the swim. I seen the swim club on a Monday night, and I was like, oh, sure, what do you do? And he explained it, and sure, I was like, sure, I'll give that a go. And because I love swimming, and swimming's something that I do for leisure, and it will always be something I do for leisure. It's not, I will never push myself in the swimming pool because I just don't enjoy that. I do swimming, like I could swim every day of the week, and there's times that I have, and just swim to clear my head. So then when I at Loch Macrory then, and I'd met Kathy, and they all encouraged me, and I was like, okay, sure, I'll give it a go. And then boom, Try the Loch came up, and they were like, Mum was like, sure, you should try a super sprint. And I was like, there's no point in trying a super sprint, I'll just do the full thing. That's my motto in life, so yeah, that's how I got into triathlons. And I did the Try the Loch was my first triathlon. Got my first official bike from Caldwell's. That was in 2016. Couldn't ride a bike properly at all. Remember saying to Mummy that I'm one of these people that'll do these things I'll say like, oh, I'll go do that, and I'll do it. So I remember saying to Mummy, sure, I'll cycle that bike home And but mum was like, oh well sure, I'll come with you just in case. Well, Mickey, I couldn't even cycle the bike. It was like one of those racers. They had fitted me in that race position. I wasn't used to that. I was used to sitting up on a hybrid like Mary Poppins all the time, you know.
Yeah.
And sitting on this racing bike was so uncomfortable, and I couldn't even cycle it. And I remember I bought it from Caldwell's, and I had this try the lock coming up, and I was like, I can't even cycle a bike. How am I going to do this? But just me being me and just brute ignorance and determination, I managed to learn how to ride a bike properly. And that's how I got into triathlons.
So,
and then it's very addictive. It's extremely addictive, as you know. It's really good, and it's good for the head, and it's good for the heart, and it's just brilliant.
so how long did it take you then to actually get used to cycling the bike? And then did you go out for a few times by yourself, or did you come along with the club group sessions, or how did that sort of journey?
I went out by myself a lot because I wasn't, and I'm still not to this day, very confident on the bike. Like, not, don't get me wrong, like it's not like I'm not scared of falling. I fell so many times on the bike, but when you're pushing big speeds, I actually love the speed on the bike. Like I'm a need for speed. Like I'm an adrenaline junkie. Likes of you, I've jumped out of airplanes and rallied cars, and that's just me. But the bike, I just wouldn't be a natural person on the bike. So it took me several months to actually learn how to ride this bike, and yeah, fell loads and loads of times off it. And I think for Try the Lock, I had cages rather than click-ins, and then decided sure I'll get click-ins and give it a go. And after that, yeah, just sort of more just continuous cycling, as you know, got me a wee bit better. Not much. I'm still falling off bikes.
Well, you can classify yourself as a sort of a cyclist now, you know, because you've done Ironman, Lanzarote, for God's sake. You're selling yourself short there. You and I have been out on numerous group cycles together, like, and we've like, so I would say you and I would be probably quite similar on the bike. I feel, you know, we can push and we can push and we can push, but there just comes a point then where we just say, ah, do you know what, guys, go on, you's on ahead, and we'll just do our own thing here.
Yeah,
And I think
it's
that's
like just go on ahead, because I just don't want to, you know, get to that. It's not that I don't want to get to that uncomfortable stage. It's that you get to that really, like, and you just can't hold it for too much, you know. And it's like, I'm not enjoying this, like, you know. And if I'm the type of person, if I don't enjoy something, I'm like, why am I doing it? So I want to enjoy everything. So
yep, I hear you loud and clear. That's exactly the way I am. Sometimes if there isn't a, like, the Oma Tri Club's very good in the sense that they have three different options, three different cycling options. But there are sometimes, particularly this time of year, when there aren't enough numbers out to make up that group two. And you and I would probably be group two
yeah,
cyclists. Sometimes whenever there's group two riders and group one riders join together just to create one group, just because there's not enough numbers, the group one guys hold back a wee bit, but the group two guys are kind of pushing on. And I do understand that it's good for the likes of you and I
yeah,
to get that wee bit of a push, but there just comes a point, isn't there? There's like one wee hill or one incline where you just think, right, it's game over.
yeah.
Um,
It's like just go on, leave me behind.
I'll be
Like,
fine, you know. Save
yeah,
the women and the children, I'll be
yeah,
fine. But but it's about I think it's sensible to know that you're beat at that point, and then just say, right, boys, batter on. Hey, you know, don't be
yeah.
worrying about it. I'm
Like
happy as Larry now.
I don't have that competitiveness in me. Don't get me wrong, cycling in the group is amazing, and it's made my biking come on so much stronger. And that's probably why I've left it a wee while this time, because I'm like, oh, I'd need to get myself up. You nearly need to get yourself up to a certain point before you go out with them, just so that you're not like continually in that zone 5 all the time,
Yeah, yeah.
because it's not beneficial or enjoyable for me. So
But at the end of the day, you know, whenever it comes to the big events or any of the smaller events for that matter, you're on your own. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for taking the cycles and doing cycles by yourself and with another cycle buddy.
Yeah.
for safety reasons, you know.
Well,
But
I did most of my training for Lanzarote. Now, to be fair, I did go out with the group, but I did a lot of it by myself. There was a lot. I'll never forget that the guys went to Donegal. It was the Donegal cycle, and I went down by myself. And I remember Lucy's like, sure, come on, join us. And there was like all them guys. There's Lucy, Darn, Grania, Damien, Durl, all the big hitters on the bike. And I was like, nah. I was like, and then we had stopped at like the tea stop, and Kathy and all was there, and Lucy's like, sure, come on with us, come on, you've been, and then Seamus is like, sure, you've been cycling this whole thing by yourself all day. And I was like, yeah, I know, but I prefer that. And they're like, no, come on out with the group. And I was like, nah. I nearly said F off at that point, but I jumped on my bike myself. And then I remember just going on, and then Durl and Darn had finally caught up with me, and Durl turned around and goes, God, you're a wild woman to catch up with. And I goes, I'm just happy, I'm just cycling, doing my own wee thing, you know. So yeah.
No, fair play to you, you know, and there's a certain amount of confidence that you have to be able to say, look, no, I'm fine, I'm cool at doing whatever I'm doing, I'm
Oh
happy
yeah.
out.
Like,
You know,
I'm one
just
of those
because you
people,
all
yeah.
feel that I need to be in the group, maybe I just don't want to be in the group. So you have your wee group and batter on. Just leave me
Yeah.
to it.
I couldn't have kept up with them anyway, but I was just like, just go on. No. And then
Aye.
I was happy enough.
I always enjoyed the whenever you're sliding off the back there and you hear someone shouting half a turn, and you're thinking, oh, thank Christ.
I
And
know.
then the next thing someone goes, is everybody on? Aye, we're all on. Bang, way they go again. You go,
I
for
know. It's
God's
like,
sake.
what's the point in half a turn, because we're
Aye,
just going to die the rest of
because
it.
yeah.
So.
Meanwhile, my quads are bleeding, like, you know, having to just spent about all the energy I have to catch up to the
Catching
back of
up.
the group,
Yeah.
and then bang, away they go again. But here, we love to fight another day anyway. So look, we got sidetracked. We're 2016. You did try the lock.
Yes, that was my first triathlon
So
sprint.
you learned to ride a bike. We've sussed out we've sussed out the bike, and
Yeah.
2018. Then you jumped up into a 70.3.
Yes, Pagera. Never did that sort of distance. Was never really sort of joined triathlons, Mickey, as a, you know, me, a bit of fun for life. And then I was like, how am I going to train for a 70.3? I wouldn't have a notion. Like, so met a man that everyone knows, Sean Healy, who's an absolute gentleman, and did my training plan for Pagera. Learned a lot from him and absolutely loved it, and actually went back the following year, followed his same plan and with the group of us, and it was really good. That was a tough year. That was a tough swim that year, but I love a good tough swim. I'm all on about tough swims, and I've done it. And then I've done a couple of 70.3s. I've done tri limits several times, and I also did a Ironman Cork. The year you did it, I did the 70.3. And I actually really enjoy 70.3s. They're enjoyable. And Sheephaven also is one of the tough ones. I would classify it as tough. Like, it's a tough. As Darren told me, I asked him, I was like, oh, would you recommend any good training or any good 70.3s, you know? And he's like, Sheephaven. And he's like, Gemma, it's a good, honest course. And I goes, what do you mean? Like, what does that even mean, a good, honest course? What does that mean? And I'll never forget the first time doing Sheephaven on that bike, and me going, that effing darn boy, a good, honest course. Yeah, and it's good.
I think you used the word honest for something else,
Yeah.
possibly. But hey, it is an epic course. It's a brute of a bike course, but it's absolutely an amazing course too.
Oh,
It's a real epic race.
It's a really good race. There's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to hide in the swim. There's nowhere to hide in that bike, and there's definitely nowhere to hide in that run, because you're up and down the back of Downings, and it's a really, if anyone needs a race to set them up for the rest of the season, I would recommend Sheephaven. It's a lovely run race, you know, as well, and you get nice hoodies and everything. I'm actually wearing the hoodie, you know, today. So,
No, it's a brilliant event. just wondering about your strategy in rough water. You've said there that you like a good rough swim, and I'm
I love a good
okay in a
rough
rough
swim.
swim. I'm okay in a rough swim. What's your kind of strategy in a rough swim? Do you take it as it comes, or do you get into a wee zone before you can get into the water? Have you got a wee game plan?
Well, I generally, when I looked at Cork, or the time of Cork, I was nearly at the front of and I watched the pros go off. And I remembered that first boy, the red boy on the right, and I don't remember, it wasn't very far, maybe 400 meters, I can't remember. And I was thinking, looking at my watch, and I was watching them going, they're really struggling. I'm like, they're really, really, really struggling. As in, so I was thinking the current, and I remember actually one of the pro females just give up. And all I could think of is, right, okay, well, it's going to be a tough swim. I knew it's going to be a tough swim. Mickey, as you know, I'm not a quick swimmer. Like, and no way, I'll never be a quick swimmer. Swimming isn't, I was never part of any swim clubs. But I'm quite a strong, I would say I'm a strong swimmer, and I always have been a strong swimmer. So that day, and so I've done a couple of tough swims. Probably the toughest swim is a swim that I did with me and Sean Kern, and it was up in Cushendall, and that swim has set me up for life. I'll never forget it, because it was like the RNLI was picking people up on the boat or on their jet skis and throwing people off on the beach. The waves was massive. The current was crazy. I sort of get into a sort of a head thing that I just remain calm and thinking, well, I know I can do this. And if I don't catch a breath, and if I get a mouthful of water, it's okay. I can hold my breath for quite a long time. And I don't need oxygen for quite a long time. So I'm like, okay, well, this is okay. So if I get a mouthful of water, it's okay, just keep swimming and I'll get another mouthful of water. And I've always remained sort of calm, and I always feel that a good rough swim it's really good, and it shows the strong swimmers from the weak swimmers. And I think it's just good in triathlons, because if it was all continual swim, pool swimming, where's the fun in that? There is no fun. And you remember Cork, so I remembered, trying to sight. So I sort of got in my head, well, I'm going to sight over these big waves, and then down, swim, swim, swim. And then once I was going over the big wave, the swell, I would sort of breaststroke to sight, and then swim, swim, swim. But then obviously they had decided halfway to turn people, and you were meeting people, but I just remained calm and I kept swimming. I remember people screaming and shouting, but I was just like, okay, got to the boy, that's fine. And then it was like, but yeah, I've always remained calm in a turbulent water. I don't know, it doesn't scare me.
Yeah.
Water doesn't scare me.
I think that's the secret. That's the secret, isn't it? Is remaining calm, and being mindful and in the moment. And you're absolutely right. If you're going to be involved in triathlon and you're going to be involved in outdoor swimming, then you really should expose yourself to the conditions when they're not perfect, because on the day anything can happen.
Yeah.
So if you're the type of swimmer who only goes out whenever the water looks like a sheet of glass, then you're kind of limiting how you're going to be able to cope if the conditions are unfavorable on the day, because you have to get in there and you have to experience it.
Yeah, my recommendation is, like, if anyone's sort of scared of that or anything, I would, like, if you find somebody that's good on well, my cousins would be good on, like, their, like, not a surfboard, but like it's like a wee boat that goes, I don't know what it's called, on like waves and stuff. So I remember in Rossnowla going out with them, and I was swimming, and I mean these massive waves, and they were on these like boats just keeping an eye on me. So if you could get somebody that could do that there, just to build your confidence, or even just go into a couple of waves and just, obviously just and remain, be safe, but just try to remain calm.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Sound advice. So back on track with the triathlon journey, you've a handful of 70.3s done. I suppose Pagera you did in 18, you did it in 19. I suppose lockdown then come along and curveballed everybody and everything out the window. Um, and then there was a period of time then in 22 where you weren't able to train.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, during lockdown it was tough for everyone. And then wasn't really training. I was working in the hospital, so it was tough. But yeah, in 22 I sustained quite a significant back injury at work. And my discs had compressed into my spinal cord, so I wasn't barely able to walk. I remember lying on my house, like I just bought a house in Craigavon at that time, and lying on the floor, and mum and dad had to come and get me and blah blah blah. But so yeah, it was 6 months of barely able to walk, and a lot of self rehab. Now obviously I had intense physio, but the physio can only give you so much. And I guess just me being me, and I'm just like positive, and I'm like, well, I'm going to walk and I'm going to be able to run again, and this is just me. So I got myself this floaty thing and started aqua jogging in the swimming pool. Never once did I know what it was, but I looked it up and I was like, and I remember coming into the physio at work, you know, because I was off work at the time, and me limping in, but at least I could walk, because at one point I couldn't walk. And she's like, oh, Gemma, what have you done today? How many miles have you walked? And I was like, oh, I've walked about 10 miles, but I've swam and I've aqua jogged. And she's like, you're mad. And I goes, no, I'm not mad. I goes, I'm going to get back to doing triathlons. I'm going to go back to get running. And I did. And I'm one of these people, Mickey, I'm just so positive, as in, if life just throws stuff at you, you're just like, I've just learned life's throwing a lot at me. We'll just say a lot. And I'm a very private person, and I'm not going to go into that, but I have a way of dealing with it, and nothing's going to stop me from doing something that I love. So yeah, I was like, and then once I finally rehabbed myself and got myself back into work, and then got back into running, and took up this newfound love of running. Like, never really did running before this. Ran on the treadmill for 20 minutes, but thought, I am so lucky that I can actually do this now, that we are so lucky to have our health. And then I just took up running sort of 23, took up running. I went to Lanzarote training camp. That's where I sort of turned, as Connor and Etta says, that's where I've sort of like turned the corner. Like, once that sort of, I still suffer from the back, but not as bad. But I went to the training camp, and I was like, I'm so lucky that I can do all this, and what can this body not do? And like, I'm a bit like mad, because my first official marathon was Dublin 2023. That was my first official. What a lot of people don't know is I actually ran an unofficial marathon with the guys from work. So we did like funding for their ambulance, and there was like a relay team for the emergency department. So I never forget, I think it was that year, it was like, so I ran at the start of that year, I think, it was that year we did the relay, and I said I'd run, I would be first relay member. So I ran from the start, and I just thought, and I had no training, Mickey, like, and I just ran, and I ran the full thing with everyone just because I could. Like, I think it was something crazy, it was like 4:20, I think, like, it wasn't like, but I had absolutely no training, but I was like, no, I can do this now. And everyone was like, in the relay, once we hit each relay, they're like, Gemma, you're mad. And I was like, but I can do it. But yeah, so Dublin, I trained for my first marathon. That was Dublin 23, and me and my friend paced me, and I got a 3:36 for my first marathon, and I'm super proud of that. Like, I am so proud of that, because I came from not being fit to do anything till running a marathon, my first official marathon, in 3:36. And I remember also doing tri limits that year, and I think I came, I did a few races that I got trophies in, and then 24, then I raced a right few races, Ballyshannon, I came third overall. That was just pure fluke, as in it was a race that there wasn't like a crazy quick people at it. I was just like, I think I pick races that I flukingly get these trophies. Try limit.
There's no flukes. There's no flukes. Absolutely no flukes.
I don't know.
I'm not having it. Not on my show. No way. There's no flukes.
Yeah, and try limits. Then I came last year. Sorry, I was first in my age group, and that I was happy with that there. And
that would have been a good honest. That would have been a good honest victory, because that's a well attended race with nowhere to hide. Do you know what I mean? And over that distance, you'd have been especially
the bike isn't my strong point, and on the tri limits course, you need to be really good on the bike. The likes, I remember Kathy and Lucy and Sinead and Grania, like they're all strong people on the bike, like amazing athletes, female athletes in our club, and I'm one of these people that, no, I'm not great. I'm average over all disciplines. But then once I got off the bike, I was able to pick a few people off in that run, because it's a flat run, and I was happy with that there. So it was, yeah. So a few good races last year.
And then that culminated, I suppose, then in your Ironman Lanzarote, isn't that right?
Yeah.
Now, the other thing, of course, that we didn't mention at the top of the episode was that you also had a bonus prize that you collected a day or two after Lanzarote Ironman. So when the dust was settling, you went along to the prize giving.
Yeah.
Tell us about that and what happened after that.
Well, it was total fluke. Again, it was a fluke, but if Connor and Shane and all was like, and Eddie was like, sure, go along to the prize thing, or the prize thing after Lanzarote, and see, can you qualify for the World Championships? Never once did I think I was. Now I did look, I think it was fourth in my age group, but there wasn't many in my age group. I think 6 overall, and there was 2 DNFs. So I think I was fourth maybe. And there was, because I suppose Lanzarote, people don't want to do it because of the wind factor and how tough it is. So then, they called out my name because the third person didn't take it, and I qualified for the World Championships in Nice. And I was like, yes, I couldn't believe it. It was like, I remember like Kathy texting me, and she was just like, it's just like a dream come true. And I swear it was just a dream come true. I had such a great race in Lanzarote, and then to qualify for the Worlds, it was just a dream. It was just a pure dream. And yeah.
This is one of the reasons why I was so happy and eager to get you onto the podcast, because it was this idea that whenever we do something or push ourselves in anything, amazing things can happen. And your story is amazing in the sense that you've overcome that significant injury, you maintain that positive outlook, you put the hard work in. You go to your first Ironman, you don't race it, you're looking at zebrafish, you're looking around you, you're doing your own thing, whatever your body's going to produce on the day. And lo and behold, bang, World Championship qualification. And the next thing you know, you're on a plane heading to France for Nice.
I know. It is just amazing. It just shows you that, like, anyone can do it. Now there was a lot of hours of training. I had a lot of I am one of these I'm not a natural athlete by no means. People that know me, I amn't natural. I have to work at everything. I work at everything, and goddamn, I worked for Lanzarote, and Nice was just the cherry on top of the cake. And I'll never forget. So I did the training then for Nice, and it nearly broke me because I was continually training. There was no break, because Lanzarote was meant to be my A race, and then there's me qualifying for Nice. Better start training again. And I never forget, I had a half marathon the week before, which a lot of people don't know, because again, I do keep a lot of stuff to myself. And it was in Ratoath, and it's just outside Dublin. It's one of the races that the Harriers go to, because it's a PB race, and I wanted to get a PB in a half marathon. I don't know why, I just said it in my head, and my coach was like, Gemma, you're just stupid. And I was like, yeah, I know, but sure. And I'll never forget, like, I'm one of these people, you can't really tell me what to do, because I'll just do something else. And the week before, I raced this race and I pulled my hamstring. Like, I mean, I was racing it for a 1:35, and halfway through, like, I was going for a 1:35, and halfway through I just blew my hamstring and my knee. And there were a couple of times at the knee at the track was giving me bother. Lucy had to carry me off one time, but so I remember Paddy getting on the phone to me, and he's like, what happened today? And I was like, well, you know, that race that, and he's like, right. And he's like, right. So we were going to race Nice. I never lied about that. I was like, I'm a very honest person. Like, I was going to race Nice, and I was going to get a 3:45 in the marathon. That's what I told people. That's what I was going to do. But I couldn't then. And I was just like, you know what, Mickey, we'll just go and enjoy it. Not many people get to the Worlds. Not many people get to go and chat to Lucy Charles Barkley, and I was standing chatting to her about her dogs and her training, and you know, and I just took the whole experience as in, I am just going to enjoy it. And I did enjoy Nice. Nice is a phenomenal place, and if you get a chance to race it, go. The swim's lovely. I really enjoyed the swim because you don't get out of the water, which suits me better. And it's, you know, there's quite a swell. I liked it. A lot of people said it was rough. I thought it was just lovely. Got out of the water in a 1:18. I was happy with that. Wasn't even out of breath. Was just took my time, and I never forget it. These people in the tent, like I suppose it was the World Championships, and they were like all running through the tent, and well, I got my towel out and I was sitting on the floor and I was like drying myself, and I was like, oh, yeah, I must go to the toilet, you know. And these women were just like, and then I got on the bike, and the bike was phenomenal, and I remember chatting to an American woman going up one of there's two big climbs in it, two of them are 1,000 meters. And but then there, you know, I was just taking in all the scenery. I was looking at waterfalls, and this woman actually nearly took me out in her bike because she was overtaking me, and I was like, oh, sorry, I'm like just looking at the waterfall. Like at her, and then I think she cursed a wee bit, but it wasn't my fault. She was just and the only thing, like, Nice is very technical, which I loved. Like, I'm very much all about the downhills, and you aren't allowed to cross the white line, which is kind of annoying because there's certain people that were a bit scared going down hills. So you had to be like, I kept, because it's on the opposite side of the road, so I was like shouting, on your left, and I was just flying down, really technical, like taking race lines down it. I remember one of the motorbikes, who was the penalty guy, was coming. He was down in front of me, and I was going that quick that I was following him down, and it was good because they were like putting on his hazard warning if there was like humps on the road, or turn left or turn right. And I really enjoyed the bike course. It kind of made me remember the bike of when me and Adrian and Desi went to Lanzarote, and the fun that we had going down them hills. You can imagine Desi, you know, on the mountain bike, but it was just that fun. It was just a really, really fun bike course. Phenomenal. Absolutely loved it. And then onto the run, and mummy and all the people were there, and mum and my sister, and they had their t-shirts, and it was just the the run was really boring. I was out to the airport. It was a flat run, but it was perfect conditions. And yeah, I didn't get my 3:45, but I got my sub 4. And I was happy. You know, I was stopped and stretched my hamstring and did whatever, and just thought I just to enjoy it, and I just enjoyed it. It's phenomenal. Like, it's just an amazing opportunity. If you get the chance, just go, even though it's so expensive. Go. It's just breathtaking. Like,
and that, ladies and gentlemen, is why we do triathlon.
exactly, it's a fairy tale story.
It's unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
I could sit and listen to you blathering about triathlon all day, and I'm sure there's plenty of people listening too would agree with that. It's just infectious. The energy that you have, the enthusiasm, you're just so bubbly and bouncy and happy, and it's just, it's wonderful chatting to you. It really is.
It's my happy place. And like, you know, and to top it off, after Nice, then I went, or the OTC Awards night, and I'll never forget it. You weren't there that night, Mickey, but they did this speech, and I started crying because, like, it was what Desi had said. Like, so in the start of 2024, I couldn't even cycle. I went out with a group and barely was able to cycle. Had a really bad chest infection, and per Desi ended up with me, and you know, Desi being Desi, and like Super Dad took me back, and we sat in the van, and I was like shivering, and I barely could cycle that day. And Desi, and I remember telling Desi in the van that day, I'm doing Lanzarote, and that's my race, and him looking at me going, yeah, right, Gemma. And then I remember at the OTC Awards night him saying that yeah, he didn't believe that I was fit to do it. And then when he seen me at the camp then, and just the positivity and the energy, and he's like, yeah, that girl's going to do it. And yeah, I did it. And
absolutely,
I believe anyone can do it. You put your mind to something, you can do it.
Well, the next thing I was going to ask you about, Gemma, was just about encouraging other women in particular, you know, females. There's a big drive on at the minute, and rightly so, to try and encourage more female athletes into the sport. And I suppose it's probably applicable across many sports. And one of the difficulties I have is trying to find female athletes that are willing to come onto the podcast. More often than not, I get shot down. I'm like a teenager at a disco getting shot down again. But I'm very glad that you've come on. But what would you say to anybody, particularly girls, young women, and women of all ages, if, you know, about getting involved in sports and pushing themselves and finding out what, you know, the wee statement that you said earlier on was what my body's capable of.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we all kind of undervalue our health and our fitness, and with you being a health professional, what would you say to people to try and get them more involved in sport and to get after that lifestyle?
I think, like, your health is your wealth, and we're all capable of we are all capable of so much. Our bodies can do so much, and I guess females coming into the sport now, I see a lot of the female girls coming into the tri club, and they have so much potential. And the reason that they have so much potential is they've not only came from like a sports background, but they have that positivity. And I think it's just so important to continue, just keep positive. Don't worry about what people think of you, because the guys in the tri club, we don't care about your background or where you come from or anything. It's just, if you give it 100%, then you're giving your 100%. Obviously there's people that come in that are extremely natural, and it's brilliant to see, but it's also the people that aren't natural and that they are continually chopping away and giving it their 100%. I actually love to see that even more, because you know that they're putting in 150% and they're absolutely loving it and they're smashing it. And I just think it's a really good supportive environment at the minute, and we're all like, the female, it's got so strong. Like, I'll never forget from the very beginning, like Kathy, Lucy and Sinead, and like all the women now, all these women coming in, and they're so strong and they're so natural, and their abilities, and they'll go everywhere with it if they continue, just keep chipping away and keep enjoying it. That is the main thing. We all have bad days. God, there's loads of days that I spent 4 hours on the turbo one time with the infrared heater and crying my eyes out and going on things crying, and I'm like, oh, and then I remember crying one time and I'm like, well, why am I doing this if I'm crying? And it was just a bad time of the month and us women, and I was like, no. And then I went again and I was like, no, this is the reason I do it, because I enjoy it, and we're so lucky that we can do it, because there's so many people that can't.
I think there's potentially a lot of discrimination in other sports, but I have never seen nor experienced or even heard a snifter of anything other than complete, total and utter respect for all athletes, all ages, all shapes and sizes and genders within triathlon. It's such a just we're all in it together.
It doesn't matter your size, your shape, your fitness, your color, your whatever. It's just, we're all in it together. We're all suffering. We're all enjoying it, and that's the best thing about Oma Tri Club. And you like, it's a family, and it really is a family. And like, yeah, they're just, I would be lost without Oma Tri Club. I really would.
And I think we'd be somewhat lost if you weren't in the club, Gemma, to be honest.
I don't know about that. Like, but...
now. Well, here, what about 2025? It's only January now. Anything lined up for this year, or what have your eyes set on?
Well, unfortunately or fortunately, I'm finishing my master's course, so I have a big dissertation to do, so probably won't be doing much. Now, I have qualified for a London marathon with my good for age time for Dublin, so I'm going to do that, and that is my probably a race this year. I will try to do some national series events this year. Now, I haven't picked what I'm doing yet, and you never know, Mickey, where I might show up in an Ironman. You never know me. I could just show up anywhere. As Seamus used to say to me, how many races are you just continually racing? Yeah, and I would just race because I love it, and I'm generally smiling. And then Damien would say, Gemma, if you're smiling, you're not racing hard enough. And I'm like, well, I just enjoy it. Who cares?
No, well, look, whatever you do this year, I'm sure you will be smiling, but you'll also be putting the power down too, because we all know that you're a wee bit of a, you're a rocket whenever you get going. Like,
yeah, I just like a bit of hard. I know how to sweat. We'll just say that. Yeah,
you can get into that suffer zone, and you can stick that out.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think that we're lucky to be at it. So if we can suffer, sure, what else would we be at?
Brilliant.
What else would we be at? Yeah.
Gemma, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast and sharing that journey with us. It's absolutely amazing. Absolute pleasure chatting to you. And I just hope that everything pans out for you now in 25. You get this master's done. I'm sure you will. It'll be not a bother to you. Get this dissertation published, a PB in London, a potential age group podium in your national series. You'll be wearing the green tri-suit of Ireland. That'll be the next of it, I reckon, Miss Skeath.
I don't know about that, but
there are big things ahead for you, I'm sure, 100%.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for having me on, Mickey. And it's been actually lovely reliving it all. Yeah.
Not a problem. It's been our pleasure. You take care.
Okay, thank you. Bye.